Okay, in today's class, I'm going to explain how to create a button. Okay, and over that button, if we click on that button, it will display something on the web page. So, generally, I told you that JavaScript is a language, web language, which is used to create interactive and dynamic web pages. This is the main motive of the JavaScript. I told you that if you want to become really web developer, you must be aware of three languages: HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So I told you that HTML2 is used to construct the web page, layout of the web page, and CSS is used to style, make the appearance, how the web page looks, appears on the screen. So CSS is mostly used, and JavaScript is used to develop interactive and dynamic web pages. So let us see what is dynamic and how we are interacting. Okay. See, first of all, HTML. So this is the document of HTML. So we need to, every web page is a document. So it is a HTML document, indicates the HTML version 5. Next, I need to start with HTML start tag element. HTML element is started with start tag. So now HTML element closed. Now body, we need to start with the body element. Body element. Now it is body element is started with start tag and body element closed with end tag. Body element closed with end tag. Now inside of this, whatever the code I write, that will be displayed on the screen. Whatever the code that will be, this code will be read by your browser. So now let us write. Our question is what, first of all, let us create a header. Okay. Header H1. Okay. And header closed. Header element closed. Inside of this, the content you write that will be displayed on the screen. So topic is what, how to display, how to display. So JavaScript is interactive and JavaScript used to develop interactive dynamic web pages. Dynamic web pages. Okay. So once we click here, this is the content written inside of the header section. Okay, now, so topic is what? How to display. See one paragraph written here, created here. This paragraph is closed with end tag. Okay, inside of this paragraph, the paragraph is what, to create a dynamic web page. So in that paragraph, I want to brief that what is the main motive of the JavaScript. The main motive is that develop interactive and dynamic web page. In this button, create a button, okay, and display a content. Okay, so create a button. When we click on that button, display a content. So now this is part of your dynamic. Dynamic vibe, because whenever we click on that button, something will be displayed. So that is called dynamic. So as per your user mouse clicks, whenever you click something, so something will be displayed, not static. So this is whatever we are seeing, this is static. There is no any changement here. Okay. So now let us see what happened here. For this, I will create a button. To create the button is an element, everything. So button started and button closed. Button started, button closed. Now come here. Inside of this button, we need to write type of button. Button is equal to type button, button type. Okay. Now, so action. What is the action by this button? On click. Okay, event is what? On click. On click is a event, means whenever I click on that button, on click is equal to what? What happened? If I want, whenever I click on that button, then what happened? So something to be displayed. Okay. So on that button, content will be, that is what, click on me, click over me. So this content will be displayed on that button. Click over me. This content will be displayed. I told you that inside of this elements, whatever the content you write, that will be displayed on the screen. Okay, this will be displayed. Create a button on display a content. This is the content written inside the paragraph. So topic is we need to create a button created and display a content. If I click on this, nothing is displayed here because we need to write a method. So on click. So this is the content here. I need to write code like this document dot. I need to use that get element by ID method, element by ID method. Method means brackets. Method is like a function. So it must be having brackets. Okay. And inside of this, I need to pass an attribute, a value. Okay, that is, I will explain. That is what, by this value, this method will find out the HTML element. And dot inner HTML, this is the one attribute that is to be passed with what is to be displayed on the whenever we click on. Okay, so here is, suppose if I have kept a string, I love my India. I love my country, my India. This is the content. So this is the string. So that string to be kept in double quotation marks, that is okay. Now this string data will be displayed whenever we click on this button. Okay, understood that. Now, I told you that here I need to pass a value. That value before, if I want to pass a value here, I need to keep that inside of any paragraph, otherwise any header. Header also you can keep ID. That is what ID attribute that is to be passed with a value. Any value, whatever the value you keep, that value that is to be passed inside of this method as a parameter. As a parameter. Understood that now? Now run this code. Okay. So when you click, whenever you click over here, now whenever you click over here, this I love my India that is to be displayed. So are you getting anything? No. So that moment, what we need to do that is very important. Okay. So that is very important. Huh? So what I told you that, as I told you that, as I told you that, so whenever we click on this button, okay, this content written inside of your paragraph element, inside of your paragraph element, and this is to be changed by this method. Okay, whenever we click on a button, button created. How to create a button in JavaScript? This is the syntax. First of all, button element, button, type of element, button is what? Button, type of button is button, on click. Event is event, mouse event is what? Whenever we click on that button with your mouse, so on click is equal. So that moment, this method get element by ID method will find out the HTML element by this ID. HTML element is what this is. This is the HTML element. P paragraph element is the HTML. Why? Because wherever the ID is, wherever you have kept the ID, so that will be changed. ID kept inside of the paragraph element. So this get element by ID method will find out the HTML element with this ID attribute value, which is passed in paragraph element. Now paragraph element is your HTML element that has a content. So this content will be changed to whenever we click on the button to I love you, my India. Yeah. Now click whenever we click over this button. So on click for your mouse click, and this method get element by ID method which is part of this HTML document. So that's why I have written document dot. So this get element by ID method will find out the HTML element where you have kept the value vasu. I have kept the vasu value in paragraph element. So this paragraph element, this is the HTML element which has a content of this one. HTML content. That content will be changed as I love my India. Why? Because inner HTML attribute will be used to change the HTML content. Okay, now click over here. So it is changed to I love my India. If you keep this ID attribute in header side, okay, so this content, JavaScript used to develop interactive dynamic web pages. This content will be changed because now this ID you have kept in this element, header element. Now header element is this is the HTML element. So that element has a content. That content will be changed when we click on the mouse. When we click over this button, the button whenever we click over this button, that moment this element method get element by ID this default mostly used JavaScript HTML method to find out the HTML element that will be identified by that element will be found by this attribute value that is passed to this inside of this h1 element start tag. This is the h1 element start tag. Okay, by this the HTML element will be found, and then this attribute inner HTML will change the content of the HTML element. This is the content that will be changed. So now we need to check back that. Okay, now nothing to worry about that. Now your ID, this ID is kept inside of the H1 element. So this element has the content of this. This is to be changed whenever we click on this button. So now see what happened. That is to be changed to I love my India. You click over this. So your this content JavaScript used to develop interactive dynamic web page that is changed to I love my India. So what happened? Your attribute is passed in H1 element. If you pass this to your P paragraph element, this content will be changed. So while you click on, while you click on this button, if anything happens, something is changed. So this is called the dynamic and interactive web page. Dynamic and interactive. It is not, your web page is not static. Your web page is dynamic. Dynamic means what, for every click, there is a changement. Okay.